Welcome to the Manager Lab, where we delve into the increasingly dynamic world of talent management. In each episode, we will unravel key insights, break down the most relevant books and articles, and provide actionable tips to optimize your approach in developing and retaining top talent. Stay tuned for a deep dive into the art, science, and strategy of unlocking your team's full potential. Let's enter the Manager Lab. Welcome back to the lab. Today we're talking about a business-critical people capability, and that is psychological safety. The recent HBR article by Michael Blanding highlights new research showing that psychological safety isn't just a nice-to-have in good times, it's essential in tough times. I'm going to walk you through the key findings today and then share 4 practical actions that you can take as a manager. So, what is psychological safety? You've probably heard about this concept, but just in case, a quick definition. Psychological safety is the belief that you can speak up with ideas, you can ask questions, any question, you can voice your concerns or mistakes without fear of humiliation or retribution. So when people feel safe, they share information, they learn from mistakes, they seek help when help is needed, all of which increases resilience at the individual level, at the team level, and ultimately at the organizational level. The research in this article focuses on a very large data set, 27,000 healthcare workers surveyed before and during the pandemic, looking at psychological safety and outcomes like burnout and intent to stay with their organization. So here are the headline findings that matter for you as a manager. So number 1, workers who reported higher psychological safety had lower burnout rates and higher intent to stay with their organizations, even when resources were constrained, like tools and staffing resources. Even when those were constrained, they still reported lower burnout, higher intent to stay. Importantly, psychological safety that was established before the crisis provided protective effects during the crisis. That means building it in advance for you as a manager pays dividends when at that inevitable time your team or organization will go through some sort of crisis. So build it now. Don't wait until you're already in a crisis and think you need it at that time. Build it now. The research also used conversation of resources theory, meaning when material resources like less tools to work with, lower staffing resources, when they shrink, people experience burnout. But social resources, such as psychological safety, can actually buffer the effect. So we've all been through material resource constraints. Building this social resource can help you get through that time when those material resources are not given to you. So the authors also note that in many places, psychological safety programs are among the first to be cut. It's always training that gets cut first, right? Especially when times get hard. But that may be exactly the worst time to cut psychological safety programs. So you can be a voice of reason if you hear about programs being cut that you know through research is very effective in these situations. So in plain language, when pressure builds, resources tighten, workloads increase, those teams with a culture of speaking up, those teams with a culture of trust and transparency are far better equipped to cope with crisis. Okay, so I work in the materials and construction industry where there's a lot of, pressure, a lot of burnout, especially this time of year. We're talking in the end of the season in the late fall, early winter. If your industry is like mine, you know that the stakes for psychological safety are very high. There's often high risk, tight deadlines, changing conditions, errors and concerns may get brushed under the carpet, especially here at the end of the season. So if managers are feeling pressure, they may implicitly discourage speaking up. We don't have time for that kind of attitude. That erodes trust. And then, of course, we're talking mainly about burnout and turnover of frontline employees, but think about the turnover or burnout of managers. Supervision is costly to our organizations, and psychological safety really helps retention of our managers as well. All right, so here are some actionable tips for you as a manager, some concrete things that you can do to embed psychological safety in your teams and in your organizations. So, number one, lead with an I don't know kind of mindset and invite input from other people on your team. So in team meetings, explicitly say, I don't have all the answers. What do you see we should watch out for? Something like that. Make sure that they know that you don't have all the answers and they need you. Recognize someone who raised a concern, especially one that wasn't obvious, and discuss what did we learn from that. And then when the pressure is on, it's tempting for managers to protect or project this sort of absolute certainty, but admitting uncertainty models the behavior that you want. So at the start of your meetings, maybe have, you share one thing that you're unclear about and have other people share things that they might be unclear about. That will invite people talking out loud, asking questions that they may not have thought through carefully. That's okay. You want that kind of safety to build on your team. All right, so number two, the next actionable tip is to establish regular, safe check-ins with your people. Use short pulse surveys or just ask simple questions like, in the last week, did you feel safe to speak up? Was there anything that inhibited you from speaking up? So if you have like an organizational health committee or a people committee, put things on their agenda, like what concerns have come up? Did anyone feel unable to surface anything? Have we heard about this going on in the organization? And make raising your voice anonymous if necessary, especially initially, so that you get very honest feedback. Okay. Third thing that they recommend in the article is to reward the interpersonal risk takers. So define and call out behavior that you want. For example, if someone who said, I spotted a weak spot in our process, here's what I propose, really call that out and say, that's exactly what we want to see. We want to see people questioning things, making sure that we're doing the very best and putting the best ideas on the table for safety, for process, whatever it might be. Make psychological safety visible. Put some things in newsletters or meetings highlighting how raising a concern helped prevent a bigger crisis or a bigger issue. Create a safe to fail pilot culture for your regional or for your teams. Small experiments, learning loops, not blame, right? So it's safe to fail here. We're going to try this experiment, or we're going to talk about the way that when we have a mistake, we learn from it, these learning loops. Don't have a culture that blames people for making mistakes. So in your people committees, maybe allocate a moment of learning slot where a manager can share a failure, what they learned from it, and invite feedback from it as well. I like that idea. I'm going to incorporate that into an agenda I've got coming up in the new year. Okay. The fourth thing that they recommend is to align structural processes to support voice, giving your people a voice. Ensure your systems support speaking up. So have anonymous channels that people can raise concerns, have open door policies, have cross-site peer forums where people from maybe a different sites can get together and talk about shared concerns. Integrate psychological safety into onboarding for new managers and supervisors. Here's how we handle concerns so that when managers are faced with these things, they know how to handle them. If you have talent management metrics, maybe include psychological safety as one of those metrics. For instance, percent of employees who say they feel safe to speak up, and then what are the follow-up mechanisms for how that feedback gets to management and then gets back to the people. So think about including modules about psychological safety in manager training. What is it, why it matters, how we'll monitor it. Those are all really good tips for you as a manager to think about as you incorporate this concept into your management practices. So to sum up, the research makes it very clear. Psychological safety isn't a luxury when times are good. It's a requirement when times get tough. For managers, that means intentionally building a culture where people feel safe to raise issues, voice their concerns, experiment, and then learn. Well, thanks for listening. I hope that this will open up conversations for you and your team and keep questions flowing and that you feel like psychological safety has really made a difference in your team's culture. And until next time we meet in the Manager Lab, do good work.